21. Uh, and the topic is data webhooks and integration basically and best practices. So we are not just here to just demonstrate things, but we also need here to learn practically or what we call that architect something and why we use something and what is the purpose or everything is available but everything is not suited to the best needs or client needs or what happens in kind of enterprise environments where you have 7K plus users and a lot of integrations and external to internal to CRM and why we use plugins, why we use webhooks, or why webhooks are better than plugins in scenarios. So we will definitely discuss these things in this session. So yes, uh, a little bit, some seconds for fun facts we have discussed already, but you will see this is me, my kids. If you are able to see my mouse pointer, this is me. This is just recent, and this with the kids. I have two kids, 7 and 9 year. Boy is 7 and girl is 9 years. So, and wife definitely. And these are the places which we visit in Norway. This is a glacier I uh, expect everyone to see because it will be no more in next 15 to 12 years. It is in Muron, a beautiful place in north of the Norway. You can visit there. But this is before Corona times, and this is also Song of Fjorden, this beautiful place. Um is also in the north side Norway, so it is both in winter and this is basically a summertime, so you can see it's clear. Otherwise, it is filled, but it's very beautiful. And the next is this is my just a picture 2 weeks before. It's outside my home, so that's we can't know Himalayan burner means sky is burning. So this is beautiful start of autumn in Norway. So far, so good. Yes. Let's move about me. Simply just this is just my contact detail. My name is Adnan Samuel. There's my Gmail contact and LinkedIn. I also write some blogs for myself and my company as well. And this is my GitHub. Uh, and I also have some plugins on Exam Toolbox. If you go there, they are growing with the community. Like JSON to C# is basically a library that converts your JSON to C#. You can utilize it everywhere. And there's a PCF Explorer, Power Automate Cloud Manager, Power Automate for Solutions. So this is for basically more for cloud. And there will more coming. When I have a time, I will do share with the community. So, and this is Columbus, Norway, where I work, and exciting people, exciting opportunities, big peoples with the ARP is huge, and dynamics as well. So, yeah. So let's come to agenda. Yes, today we discuss more about webhooks and why webhooks. But we will like to go basically making our foundation bit slowly from because the structure of webhook is almost as similar as plugin concerning registration and pipelines and steps. So that's why it's better to just touch plugins as well, the basics. So I expect also here some are, because this is advanced, so I expect some are also coder here or some are news or some are very experienced. Then it will be wonderful. And I really appreciate if I have a lot of questions. I like to be challenged and giving a conversation and discussion so we come up with a better solution together. So it's a little bit discussion on plugins. Then we focus on webhook and why webhooks and which way we will use, because they are available there, but in which way we can use them to get their full potential into CRM, and how can we uh, use dynamic for just dynamic purpose, or we will say that dynamic CRM for just crude operations, not any other computation or HTTP calls. We use CRM engine. No, we will use something else. So this, so CRM can take breath. So that's just very important in enterprise environments. So we will discuss that scenario as well, and then we have a demo, and probably I would not have much time for conversation for that. So in between, I will go with advanced scenarios where what is best, and definitely you can question me in there why this is and why that. I love to answer that one, and we can even go with afterwards. And yes, also I discussed the service endpoint, and I don't think we have a time for that, but we will. architecturally discuss all these things uh, against, because we can use plugins, webhooks, service endpoints, and now we have event hubs. And third one is also something which is a bit different to it, but we can use data endpoints, because can, like a web API can also use, but I don't recommend this is for another purposes. So the focus is basically on webhooks. So let's start with basics about Dataverse, because Dataverse Summit, just to be have an idea of it, or if you have the idea already, then we can might skip it. But Dataverse is a data storage management service serving as foundation of Microsoft Power Platform Office 360. So it is central, and basically what it is a software as a service, and it's not merely just a database, right? In fact, it is called simply an API. So a lot of services, because this is what I want to show here. So if you see on my screen, it's an API and all of other interconnected components, Power Platforms, APIs, and flows. So if you see these categories here, API, security, logic, data storage, integration. So if you see logic, the second one, where if you see my mouse, so here your plugins come in, workflows, plugins within the CRM. And then if you go move to last one, here we have our integrations. So this is just to give an insight of a Dataverse. So where our integrations or plugins comes in. So I think this is very important to just have in mind. So this is a sort of API, but it's more than that. It's not just merely a database, but it's more than that. Okay. So yes, now we will build for advanced scenarios. So it's better to take a little bit foundation first. Even for the newcomers, it will be better. Yeah, what are Dataverse plugins, or what we understand plugins from long time? Because it's Dataverse, this is more online. So some scenarios can be also work on premises, but this is Dataverse, so it is online basically. So what is plugins basically? It's the same concept. It's a custom business logic, or will as SDK is .NET based, so it is .NET assembly registered to respond to a specific events being fired within the system. So you know that there are a lot of messages available in plugins, like create, update, delete, and upset. I write it because this has come a new one function, wonderful function. This is wonderful in integration scenarios. Upsets can handle both create and update, uh, and all these things. So uh, the same thing goes for the event framework. You know that we have a execution pipeline, right? So in the events, it's come pre validation, pre-operation, main, and post-operation. So it depends where do we want to trigger the logic. So uh, basically, we have a pre-validation that we can, because plugins are very important. I think you will agree with me. They sits in the heart of the CRM because they are involved in the transaction. If badly written plugin or too much code in a plugin or using a lot of things which are not managed properly, that can screw everything, because especially the synchronous plugins, they have 2-minute timeout. So if something happened bad, so everything is roll out. So that is the logic. How do you want it, and how do you um, like to trigger it? So pre-validation is like you can want to validate before you trying to do something with a record or logic or something. Pre-operation is basically where you can set the values of entities or fields, um, or now they call tables and as entities. So in those tables, you can set their field, different type of field before it's finally go to the transaction and get saved. That is pre. And a main operation is just reserved for CRM events. And now there's also an option for OData that is also used here, Web API, but that is not the topic here. Post operations, yeah, wonderful. When you get saved, you want to do some other things, use the post operations. So this is just for introduction. We will go into more detail later on during webhooks. So yeah, development and registration. So this is .NET based, and we have a plugin registration tool. Before earlier, we have an SDK. If you remember, in 2016, before in 2015, we worked with SDK that's come with a CMS HTTP file. Now everything is on Nugget. Lost the last 2-3 years, and that's wonderful. So you can have Nugget package available, and you can download and use the plugin registration tool there. But I do recommend go for CRM SDK as well to get more insight of the CRM. Uh, and the online documentation is also available, but it's better to go for the older to see more depth in detail. Yeah, these are the core assemblies for developing a dynamic SDK. We can use Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code. I recommend Visual Studio. And there is also a developer toolkit available. It has a license, but this is wonderful. And obviously the wonderful XM tooling course summary. There's a lot of things we can explain in XM tooling, but it's pretty wonderful. It has evolved a good after version 9.1 or 4 or 5. It has a lot improved uh, than older I organization service. So it is based on that, but inherited from that, but it is very, very like a lot of features there for connecting to Office 65 by certificates, by OAuth, and many other ways. So it is wonderful to look into it. But we will go, when we go into the demo, I will explain these things over there as well. So shortly, this is just to build up a foundation. One thing is more important to discuss here for plugins, that when you register something in a plugin, let's say first an async sync plugin, right? And you'll add a logic, which I mentioned before, more or less. The control is not returned to the CRM unless your codes get executed. It might take less than a second, maybe second or more. If you have external integrations going on, might the API other side, or some you want to save something in SharePoint or anything, it's depend on your requirement. Takes time. That is not good for UI as well, and you are utilizing CRM engine or CRM itself for non-CRM operations, like anything which is belong to CRM. Yes, the CRM engine is required there. Sync service, async is there for performing CRM function. But think in a way. This topic is basically more about thinking. How do you uh, think before you're doing anything or performing any task in CRM? So uh, the main thing is here the control returns when your executions or your code execute, or it depends how many tasks you are executing, a one line of code or more or less, or more integration or HTTP calls. Or for example, think about for on-premises Azure aware plugins. You're doing a lot of things in Azure, right? And still in asynchronous plugins, they will execute and all the tasks one by one will be done, and then the control runs to the CRM. For example, you press you are on a counter, you press save, and a lot of logic is written on pre-create or post-create, right? And you're also managing other entities as well and integrations as well. So you can think about the performance here. Just visualize uh, about and bigger medium to enterprise environment. This happens there. There is a lot of need there. But the point is that unless your code get executed, you wouldn't the control wouldn't get back to CRM. And this is very important, right? But that's why I just make an icon and think. Just keep in this mind. You can also have an async as well, which is a kind of pattern for CRM. That there is no acknowledgement or something because there is an acknowledgement, but that is async is built into the system. So you press save and nothing happened, but async has its own queue. You remember async service, there is a queue at the back end, so it depends on the priority or the task there. So if it is queue, so whenever your priority is up, it will be executed within second or less than second or a bit more, so it depends. So keeping this in mind. Yes, so that is more foundation about the plugins. So let's go to the webhooks. Yes, they are true. Recently, I will say that for a year or two, but and why is the need for that, and why is there? Plugins are already there for doing a lot of stuff, internal integration, then external integrations, and also keep in mind that CRM has evolved a lot within this 4 or 5 years. Massive improvements, massive integrations to Azure components and other, and there are lots of other modules, not only for CRM, finance operations, and Power Platform evolves a lot, and as well. So there are a lot of integrations. Not only just a organization internal custom integration, there are all of other integrations as well to CRM as well. So this is one of the thing as well as with the webhooks. But we will see today that webhooks and why webhooks and way we want to achieve with webhooks. So just definition about webhooks, Dataverse, online basically. It is a webhook is a lightweight HTTP pattern for connecting web API and service with a publish subscribe model, right? So definitely you know that webhooks is REST. So basically it's a lightweight JSON-based protocol. Webhooks sends post request and you know that it's called uh, remote execution context. I will come to that one probably. Maybe you can see here. This is a payload, but let me explain a little bit more here. Uh, they post like in simple plugin. If we compare an old plugin, classical plugin, I will say that you have an execution context there, right? And same for workflow as well. But for plugin execution context, the same is the webhook that is called remote execution context. So you will get all the input parameter, output parameter, and because this is JSON, so you'll get a bit more, but all things are there. Uh, you have to be serialize it, and I will go in my demos how to serialize, what to serialize. For example, you have a pre-image, post-image. You have input parameter, output parameter. Depend on it is a delete parameter, delete step or this and that, because you know some posts are not available on delete. So that kind of scenario. So we come to that one as well. So uh, that we'll see just in a second. This remote execution context. Next, and just more concept. This will become later on, but we can perform multiple tasks in a single registered webhooks. Don't think about it the CRM kind of plugins, traditional plugins kind of task. It is different in nature, but it's just worth to explain now, right? Because we want to achieve something. Not classical way of writing plugins, code, if else and function, this, and finally the control comes to back to CRM. No, it's not that kind of tasks. So we are moving away from the burden from CRM, and we will connect back to CRM when we need it. We probably use Azure for that one, for any computation, HTTP calls, and complex logic. CRM for just CRM crude operations or manipulation operations, create, update, delete, or set something, associate, all these CRM operations, just CRM. Else we need Azure. So it's that kind of multiple tasks. Doesn't mean that in a one plugin you write a lot of code and a lot of pattern there, and then unless that execute, that will return control back. Or async, it's the same. If you write asyncs, is a problem with async as well. If you need an interdependent related tasks, some in uh, you divide them in synchronous and async plugins, right? On a contact, account, cases, and this and that. But if they are interrelated, so you want something in synchronous, something async. But if you never know that async might execute before async, right? Queue is empty at that time. So you didn't get much thing. So this comes when you have a lot of integration in enterprise environments. So putting everything in a plugin and trying to achieve it, and someone might say that we have a power automate now, but what happens if you have integrations and you need to manipulate or have custom logics before you do anything? You can connect to some custom API. You have for example, an customer has an allocation entity, and the number allocation number comes from some third party API based on the product you have with the customer. So did or more kind of custom logic. So power automate is there, but power automate is not that good in that scenario, because you need to compute something. You have to be do something in code and connect to something else. So in that scenario, uh, we have to be think how we can best utilize that one, and we don't want CRM to use for those purposes. For we want CRM to use for CRM related purposes. So we are going for external integrations to other things, SharePoint, Azure, this and that. We don't want to use CRM engine for that one. So, but just keep thinking in mind, build up their scenario that one. So CRM can have in an environment where you have 7K plus user. We have environment right here in Norway, everywhere I think is enterprise environment. They don't care about subscriptions or money. They care about a solution. How do you build a solution? How can it handle 500 users? How can it handle external integration coming to CRM from F4, Salesforce, or whatever, daily and weekly, and CRM their main system. and you're still writing a lot of code in plugins, and then external integration come daily. So how this work against 7K users? Definitely not 7K at all, but most of the users are using also the CRM same times. How do you handle the concurrency? How do you handle the that things are in interdependent order, like first input from first systems can be used in the second events, right? So unless we have a location number, we cannot go forward. I have a case scenario where might we have a time we can discuss it, but it is still there. You can contact me afterwards. Uh, we can have a chat on that one, and I'm open for more sessions as well. I love if I have a lot of questions there in the chat. Yes, so multiple tasks, but in a different scenario, we'll come to that one. And the registration is like in classical plugins. You register that one. We will come to that one in demo scenarios, but I have to build up first. Registration is like a classical plugins, and authentication information can be passed as a query string and web inside web header as a web keys as well. We will come to that one as well. Like this is just to explain and build up what is webhook and how we can register it. Body will contain the JSON value of the instance of the most execution context. So basically, when you register, you can register either with the for security purpose, authentication purposes. So you can have use query string, or you can use headers, and where you can pass the webhook key, right? So it depends. So mostly we use webhook keys because that's a pretty straightforward available in your function as well. Yes, webhooks steps can be synchronous and asynchronous as well. That's why I explained the plugins, because the registration scenario and the execution within the CRM is almost the same. And in the context that it registered, it needs the steps, it needs pre and post, and all the execution framework. It's in the same execution framework, right? So that's why I just build up on that slide of plugins. So everybody have more questions. Might this come into it? They can ask more questions. Yes, yes. In the previous session, always a lot of guys are asking how we use this payload, because this is the same thing. When you using webhooks and when you're using the service endpoint, which is bus endpoints, you will get a JSON payload and probably a little bit more serialization object in service bus. But you have to deserialize it to get it, because it has. If I go the next slide, yes, if you see here, input parameters. This is a JSON basically. Input parameter, output parameter, post entity images, pre entity images, right? And the basic information, entity name, and other shared variables if you're using. But this is more about the classic plugin. But here, how to deserialize and get your things, because they're your input parameter. If I want to show this JSON, I think if I share, oh, if I share, want to show in a browser, but we will see if I open that link, I think it will come to my screen. Okay, never mind. So we will see how to parse them, and what is the best way to parse them. But I just mentioned that, like, use dynamic object, that basic in .NET framework, or use JObject of Newton's.json. That's a wonderful library. And you know that from the last years, Microsoft has built in with the .NET 5 their JSON library, and it's pretty strong. But you depends. CMSTK is not on .NET 5 now. We will come to that one as well, but you can use JObject as well. This wonderful library, but don't deserialize it with object models, because there can be different kind of objects coming in the parameters, right? It can be lookups, it can be option sets, it can be like CRM variables, oh sorry, data types, right? So you will be in trouble if you do it like deserialize. Sometimes you register some more attributes in plugins, right? And you're not mentioning them over there, you wouldn't get it. So that's why try to use it dynamic, so you wouldn't get any exception or anything. Everything is available in JSON. And one more thing here, remember when the size of the payload exceeds 256 KB, some property will, yeah, that's very important to care about. I also recommend in classical plugin as well. And the same thing in when you do in CRM SDK and CRM organization that retrieve multiple or retrieve, don't use all column set. This is about the code where you get all the attributes. And I see a lot of projects guys use And the good guys developers use always all attributes, even in steps as well. So that is not good. So try, if we're using webhook and even plugins, try to use select those fields which you wanted, because at the end they will be serialized in CRM as well and here as well to JSON as well, and the payload become larger. So, and at the end you wouldn't know, right? Because there will be no error. The CRM will just truncate it, the service truncate and just send to you, and you are not getting your um, attributes you defined there. So just to take care of these things before you design anything or think or go for that thing. So you have to know the best practices as well. So it's just to mention, worth mention here. One thing, stability of webhook is very important. As you know that if the webhook is not good in health or something is a problem, you will lose the payload. So you have to think about. But this never happened in kind of a good app service plan, because this is more. I will go with Azure, so I'm talking more about Azure functions. Uh, so if you have a good app service plan or even consumption plan, that wouldn't happen. But yes, if you have a free plans, that might be happen after a lot of execution. So, but normally that is not a problem. You also have a health check as well there. A lot of improvement in Azure services as well. So you can have a ping there for production, especially, or probably you at, but production at least where you know the. But if you have a good plans, it automatically scale itself. So everything is there, Azure, wonderful. Uh, Amazing. I also use, but just worth mentioning here, this thing against lambdas in AWS, but Azure functions are marvelous. We'll come to that one as well. Okay, this is the structure of the webhooks, the big remote execution context we will get. And I don't know how to show the browser basically. So you guys will have some knowledge, or maybe you have seen. That's wonderful. Yes, if I, are you able to see my screen? Some chat or?
Yes, we
Oh,
can.
great, great, great. Sorry if I'm, uh, yes, this is a JSON here, if you see here, because I just want to see show you the guys, the JSON basically. The slide I can't show, the whole is a lot bigger. So you see here, all the information coming up. Mostly guys use input parameters. Some are, see here, these are basically lookups modified by, right? These are date times, these are just simple text, and you can see the structure here. So I will come to that one afterwards, but that's why I'm saying, think about when you define your right. But I will come to that one, to registration tool later on. Uh, just select those one parameter that you needed, and then in future you need more, add more, and do your fix your functionality there later on. But please do add as you need it, or as you need it in pre and post, so you make a decision, or something is changed, or so then I need to do something. So do that one, because this really matter. Think about this is input parameter, and you are using output as well, because this is empty right here in example, but this will also contain these ones, and then you will have uh, here they are, right? uh, Shared properly in webhook doesn't matter, but post and pre-entity both contain a lot of images. What happened if it's more than normal scenario? That never happened, but think about it. So you have to be very careful. uh, this is also the best practices in the CRM retrieve call as well, when you use organization service, or are you use, or we using the web API auth. We will have example of both. I have the template and example for both. I will show you. But we will come to that slide afterwards. So the point is here, this is the JSON. It will also contain the fields you define in CRM, and then these are the information here. Yeah, where we have an example of post entity images. So the same thing here goes, right? So there's good documentation here, just to understand. More or less is the same I mentioned, because of best practices. So, but more thing goes towards the custom aware plugins, and that is on-premises stuff. So we are not, article is not for that one, and I do recommend Dataverse. That's much better than that. If there is option, go for online. Yes. So far so good. It's just introduction about webhook. We haven't come into why and wherefore. I mean why in Noshik wherefore. Yes. Now the point is why and webhooks. And why we using durable, we come to that one along with that one. Yeah, okay. But I think I built some scenarios before mentioning, and you will get more understanding when we go here. Now, this is the basically heart of the uh, this whole presentation. Uh, Webhooks. First, basically the nature of webhooks. They are proactive, right? And I just compare to the buses so we can get have better idea. Proactive means that before any action we happens, we kind of preventive, or we are more reactive to it before it happens. That means it's proactive, as compared to bus which are reactive, right? Something happened, then they react. But webhooks are uh, pretty active before something happens. How? Well, let's see it. Webhooks knows it's, and you will get a more introduction when you come to detail into the code when I will show you the patterns of durable functions. Webhooks knows its subscribers in advance and let them know about the events. That's the difference here. Webhooks knows, and when you define your webhooks, you also define their subscribers as well, what to do, and based on your payload, because you're getting all the parameters, right? Pre, post, and inputter, depending on your logic. You make your decisions there, and you define your subscriber. Okay, what happened on create message? What happened on update message? What happened on delete message or any other message? Which function I need to run, right? Or I can run a multiple functions, right, on create, because there may be an external integrations, right? And on an update, I want something more or to do, so I can do that one, right? So these kind of things. So the webhook in advance knows what it need to do based on your payload, right? Because payload is your main thing where you have your logic, right? Whereas the buses, yeah, buses, buses can have queues, topics, right? And topics are there. Buses are wonderful, but they are not like letting down bus here. But it's just to compare both, so we can understand better the webhooks, right? Both has their own advantages and uh, disadvantages as well. So buses have, that there should be a subscriber. They are published subscribe the same as webhook, but there's a differences. That's why I'm explaining here. The uh, message comes to the queue or topics, but they can't do it by themselves. A subscriber that is subscribed to queue or topic or with a filter or something, right? That knows something. Then they know, oh, a message is coming to the bus, man. We have to be pick up and do and processing. But this is not the case with webhooks. Webhooks get the payload. It knows what to do. You define it, the logic already there, right? So that's the difference here. But you will get more again when I come to demo and show you the code. Probably we will get more idea over there. And it is worth good for guys who know that Azure functions work with them. And I'm not talking just simple durable functions. And they know the depth in there. They will get more excited. And I hope many questions there for newcomers. I'm welcome to answer them. So that's the point here. So why we use it? That's the first point for webhooks. Simple REST API, and they are proactive. They know what to do, right? Yes, and now why we using durable function? There can be many, but let's make our session shorter because I'm getting have to show the demo as well. Using durable functions, we can achieve the proactive pattern, right? So my focus is that one. There are a lot of other things, but this is the more surface level and more stronger pattern we can use in webhook. Fire and forget. I think you guys knows about it. Fire and forget is a wonderful pattern. Like you will say that, for example, serverless bus is a fire forget where what happens, the requester does not wait for any specific response or knowledge. Means specific knowledge means some model or something. No, just simple HTTP OK response or error code. That's all it needs. It doesn't need any something, a model or something more serialized stuff to send. No, just acknowledgement. Okay, just return. And what is fire forget? How can we achieve it? Yes, with durable functions, uh, and I will come to durable function afterwards, next slide. But keep in mind there is a questions, do questions or more questions in next slide as well. Webhooks with durable functions. What happened with durable function? What we can achieve with durable function as soon the webhook is fired. Like you register a webhook with a durable Azure function on CM. So as you press register on some, let's say, create of account or update, whatever, right? And when that webhook is fired, you press the save button, right? It is fired or new registered a new account on steps. we receive the payload, that Azure function will receive the payload and just creates an asynchronous task orchestrator, right? That is where the Azure function has a DFX library. I will come to that one as well, where the whole logic is resided. A lot of other services are using this open source DFX libraries, Microsoft using as well. Uh, an asynchronous task accelerator in Azure, not in CRM. Remember that, not right in CRM, in Azure, right? We are not using the CRM shoulders, and return the control CRM without waiting for the computation. And later, the accelerator process payload and execute the event subscribers and may or may not connect to CRM for CUDA operations. Depends on. So the point is here. Please think about the first slide where we say that the control return back to the CRM, unless that's classical plugin execute is all the steps, even one line of code, even 10 lines of code, or 10 tasks, or 10 different external tasks. Here, you do nothing. When webhook is fired, let's say you registered on create of a new account, right? Account is more people are familiar, that's why I'm using account. It can be case in anyone. So you register a new step and on post of this and whatever. So when you press the save, you register an account and new entry and save. What happens is just simply CRM will pipeline will send a request to that register uh, plugin. We don't have any code. We just have a just have receive the payload. Next line will be start an accelerator, and the next line will be returned to the CRM. Nothing there, no code, no CRM call, nothing there. Because what we do, I come to more detail in the next slide where Azure durable functions are there. But just to build an foundation here, we don't do anything. We just start an accelerator, and then so that will be like an async task, right? And return the control back to CRM within milliseconds. So, is it sound and different? But it's pretty amazing. This is how we get the fire and forget pattern. We are not putting on the shoulders on the CRM engine. No, we are creating our task in the Azure, and Azure Executor will define everything. We will come to that one as well. More detail in demo, and I will show you the code. I have built the templates for that one. And there are the two flavors for Azure Function. Might be we stay here, and I will come to Azure Function there. The goal here is to utilize CRM engine just for CRM related operations only, and for other computation, REST calls, and other tasks we use Azure. Wait, if you are Amazon, go over there, but I recommend Azure. It's just an example, and not CRM engine and other engine for that one. The goal is dividing the CRM workloads, right? Again, the thing is that because I'll see many projects that are dead, kind of dead scenario, going to be dead, we make it alive through using these webhooks and Azure integrations. Seriously, and also FO2C integrations as well. This is not a topic here for FOC integration, but there is something more here. And also with the do write, we test a lot of do write, but there was still a lot of problem with millions of records. That's another topic for some time. But the point is just here to mention that we divide the workload of the CRM, and we have subscriptions. Why not use the divide the workload of the CRM? Think how do we define the logic? It's not just you get a task, you get integration, you just keep doing it. No, you have to be architect it better, because enterprise organization this really matter. Integrations comes each 6 months, 7 months. They have different companies, sub companies as well. So they don't care. It's just care about the architecture. How good is the architecture there? Can it scope to the future stuff? Can it more plugins? Plugins means external integrations come into it, or already have a lot of code in the heart of the database, which is called plugin, classical plugin, and stopping us from external things. About you have a lot of code in plugins, sync async plugins, classical plugin I'm talking about, and external integration are millions of records are coming, and they are creating updating, and your plugin is also firing. And why for they are firing? Uh, if an external integration is coming, he will take care of that one. How you can skip that, so and make CRM operations, and external users also using CRM, and the main PCORs, right? So how do you define the workload for CRM engine there? So you need to be use some logic there. You will say that okay, millions of records are you can run on even night times as well, but some integrations are like real times. They can be 10 records, or they can be 1,000 records, right? And top of it, see a lot of enterprise users are like they are in 5K, 7K. They are using it, right? So how you can want to skip your integrations kind of Integrations is creating, updating records, and you have steps registered there in classical plugin. What happens? They're still firing, and users are using them, and they are still firing. How can you skip them? This is how you can skip them in this orchestrator in webhook. You can have, like, there are different ways, but I will come to that afterwards, where you can skip that one. So crm can take a, what we can know, push the role, take a breath, right? So users can utilize them better, right? Or other functions which are connected to, or workflows connected to, they can use crm engine more, not the integrations. Yes, they need to connect to crm service and do something, but for that purpose only, crm purpose, not for other things. Or what good if a lot of millions of records are coming and your plugins are not firing, because they will definitely slow down. They have nothing to do with that one, because the logic is coming of external integration. They are handling for anything. If they have to create account, they have to create allocation, they have to create case, whatever activity, they will create it by themselves. But if they are creating, why your plugins are firing? Because they are taking crm execution time. That's my point here. So this is more about thinking. This session is more about thinking. How do you perform things? Components are already there, but how better you can utilize them. Not just components are there, you learn, see, okay, video and article, and start using it. This is good for learning, but try to think another way. You learn it, you see how can I best utilize these to get some pattern, or how to handle enterprise environments, right? So this is more topic is about. I need to see it. Yeah, I need to have a demo as well. So, but remember, our durable and forget fire forget pattern is not the same as classical asynchronous pattern, because in our fire forget we just return okay and message, that's all. Or if there is error, that will be the error. If plugin is not sorry, webhook is failing or is not stable, kind of in Azure. But the crm async plugin, you can someone say that they are also fire forget, the classical async, but they are running in the crm environment, and they need special acknowledgement for that one, right? So they are not and you have to write the code there. There is no code in our webhook, nothing there. We are not when we connecting to the crm, basically we just press save, or some other service call, it just come and just go away. The orchestrator at the defined. So there is a difference there. uh, Shortly, with Azure Function, Azure Function are serverless solution that allow you to implement simple logic. I think everybody knows that they are, yeah, serverless solution. You don't need to worry about anything. Microsoft does for you. Amazing job for you. Your functions. They come in two different flavor: version 1, version 2, 3. That's the main basic thing. I'm talking about durable functions here. That's interesting part here. Version 1s are .NET based. Version 2, 3 are .NET Core 2 or 3. I will recommend .NET Core 3 because it has LTS 2. You can use it. Then you have to be compatibilities. Have to check each time, because NuGet packages upgrades as well. You also have .NET 5 and 6 as well. But remember, SDK is not .NET 5 or 6. So keep it that in mind as well. So version 1 and 2 flavors, which one suits to which one? Now we'll discuss to next slide. But just about Azure durable functions, they are built on extensions of DFTX library, which is open source library. Amazing. You have to look into that one. It's available there. Google it, Azure durable library. So it come in the Azure GitHub. You will see it. Wonderful. This is the library to write long, persistent workflow referred to as orchestrators, and takes care of managing state, checkpoint, and replace for you. This is where it comes. You just return the control back to CRM and forget. The Azure or orchestrator in Azure will do the job for you. So then here is, you also need to be understand that you have to divide the logic. What is your real time you want, and what is you that can be done in some seconds delay. Like if you press some want to create orders, user don't want create order right away. You can do it through some um, delay, right? And you can perform some function. Order comes, okay, fine, I want to create an email, I want to send an PDF and this and that. That you can use the orchestrator there. Don't use CRM plugins, syncs, or even ESync plugins for that one. No, you are using CRM engine for something else. Yes, if you need something CRM, very important, do use plugins, but plugins for smaller code. The same thing comes from for here. Azure functions are made for smaller, shorter period of time. They are not web jobs that for running for hours and hours. So there is shorter run time for that, and they are computational logic air functions here. Now, shortly, there are a lot of patterns for Azure functions, but for more concerns here, the topics goes away. Then we have a function chaining. simply means that we run the functions in order. Like we have a 4 functions of one runs, we get the output, we use in the second. Then second output comes to the third and so on. This is function chaining or sequence. Fan in, fan out means simultaneously. You run the they are kind of interrelated, not interdependent, so you just run them simultaneously. Like you get an update request, so send right away, or do you have multiple tasks there in update section, do that one, right? You have some external API, you have to then create orders or PDFs and somewhere else, do simultaneously, don't wait for anything. And for create and for delete, you can simultaneously execute them, right? Because they are not dependent on each other. So on, fan in, fan out chaining. You can use a lot of patterns, but this is mostly we go with doing demo because then we don't have that much time. They are the closest candidate of achieving for and forget pattern, even with the synchronous registered plugin. That is the beauty here. Even with the synchronous, you are getting asyncs are in that matter, but synchronous, you are getting what you wanted, like fire forget pattern with the webhook. Follow, yes, best practices you can follow, and I didn't get much time for it, but I have articles on LinkedIn as well where you can have a DevOps pipelines for that one. Think about, you just do changes in your Visual Studio, check in, pipeline is there, it is updated to the Azure, and your CRM is ready for that change. Isn't it amazing? The same thing is classical plugins. You need an toolkit, or you have to go to plugin session tool do that, or Dynamics is for toolkit or other toolkit you have to use for that one, right? Okay, so before that one, I want to see the time as well. I hope I will get some 5 minutes more or something like that. Yes, Azure Durable Functions, CRM SDK, they support fully CRM SDK. Think about, you have an legacy code, a lot of SDK code, C# code. Then you have to go for that one. Because when it Azure function comes late years back, the version 1 comes, at that time is .NET, and then they release version 2, and then the 3 definitely .NET Core. So there is a difference there. If you use to SDK, you have to stick to the version 1, and the latest version for that is the Nugget package, web jobs extension durable task, and you have to just use up to 1.87, because after that is version 2 coming. That is for .NET Core, you can't utilize that one. Then you have to go with the, not with the CRM SDK, you have to go with the Web API OAuth scenario, which is basically you register an application and client secret and all those things, right? And we will come to that one. And here you can use all the pattern there. But the thing is that I also make an template for version 1, which we use in our organization, and it is available on my GitHub as well. It's just the production ready-made things over there. I will explain it shortly in after that. And because you have to do a lot of things here, so everything is there. Table functions, this and that, you just rename. And I also deserialize the input parameter, output parameters, and pre and post images there. You just need to replace your model from there. For example, for account, I'm getting uh, name and owner and these. You can just replace them with your own fields over there, custom fields or custom anything, right? Or change the name of them. I will come to that one, but they are pretty shipped. We use in our organization a lot. So because this is for newcomers as well, and the professionals as well, because you have ready-made things available. Go to the Visual Studio, type it, you will get this plugin and get started. Build it on that foundation. It will cope for everything. This is version 2 and 3. This is built for OAuth scenario, Web API OAuth scenario. And here the beauty, I just mentioned one thing shortly, because it's .NET Core, and .NET Core is pretty wonderful. You can use a lot of built-in pattern like HTTP dependency injections, client factory, right? HTTP client factory. You know that why it is. I don't have time for going to that one. And then poly retries and exponential and other patterns you can use it. So this is built in version 1. You can use this artifact and other as well, but you have to be inherit them. But here they are available, and you can use delegation handed and put the services in the as a translated and singleton and so on. No, what not? Because in .NET Core there is a amazing built-in pipeline where you can use TISAM. You can use delegation handed, generate token once for one in the startup, and use everywhere whatever you do for Web API, right? So this is also available in my GitHub. Also the solution is available, so you can extend it, and also the template is available. You need to copy the template to your my document Visual Studio and my templates. It will be available if you search in there after that. So but the code is also available there. So you can build on top of it or modify or whatever you can do that one. Yes, we will now come to the demo. I'll see the time now. We come to the demo. Uh, the demo first one is from CRM, external to CRM and CRM to third party, right? And then the second demo will be from FO to CO. Means when from FO, I'm triggering some change to service bus and using the service bus webhook for service bus and then putting it to CRM. The purpose here is just to use show the webhooks because this we can also do through dual write. But the point is not. The point is just to focus on webhooks or Azure functions. How can we utilize into CRM? That's the focus here. Great. Uh, should we go to demo or is this too much or we need a break here? I How do we see? I heard. So, guys, are you following me? Hello? Hello?
Hi, yes, we are. Yes, so don't worry, you've still got 20 minutes,
Okay.
Adnan, so please don't worry, you've got plenty of time.
Okay, sorry. I'm following that everybody's alive. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Uh, I love questions. If you have questions, please do shoot. Uh, okay. Yes, this is a demo environment for CRM as well, and I have a demo environment of FO as well. That is pretty terrible FO environment, but bear with me if it's working, if it's slow in processing, because FO is not easily trialed. So, but CRM is okay. So here we have a scenario. Whenever we create an account, just to demonstrate, I think before demo, I think we need to be look into the pattern I explained, because this is pretty simple. But okay, I think let's go with the demo first. Okay. Not able to getting my mouse. Yes, sorry. Yes, this is integration to just an fake API, fake store API. It's just an API. It's just a demonstration purpose because we're more interested in looking into the code. What happens if I create a new account here, right? And give it a name, for example, uh, Kiwi, right? And we get some, okay, just me account number we can give to them, right? And more interestingly is just about customer and their products. So this fake API basically stores customer number and their product, and we get the ID back to the CRM here, right? It's just for demonstration purposes. Let's say the product we can have yes, that's Clare. So it is basically man clothes and product name. I have to open something here, so we can go here. And take someone else just for demonstration here. Let's take anything. Yeah, I like that one. It's a training. So if we go here and just demonstration purposes, so I will show you when it comes, which take the product image URL, right? Product price doesn't matter. We can just say it is 800 krone, yeah, 777 krone, and the name is we can take that one as well. Which wouldn't display better in CRM because my translation is not there. Okay, if I press save here, right? Now there's integration with a webhook as well and using the same pattern. It's done, it's not here. So if we refresh a little bit, you will see here. And if I go here and you will see that this Kiwi store, name, Krone, and the information, the same information coming. It's just to let know that integration. Yes, so now we come back to the code. Yes, I have to actually I can't see my Visual Studio here. Stop sharing. Yes, if I go back, sorry, 1 minute, just I want to see sharing, and I think I will share Windows. Yeah, are you able to see that? Yes.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Yeah, great. This is a version 1 Azure function, durable functions, and durable functions comes with, you will see here, you can give me questions, but it is important as little knowledge of that one is wonderful. Of durable functions, we have an orchestration client, right? This is an HTTP trigger function, where I am asking, where I'm telling before that we will get the payload, right? Here is a payload, and here is the instance, and we just return back a response to the serum. This is the what I'm talking about there. And here we create the accelerator, and now we will have for uh, main, and this is registered on account is just an example. This is a template. You can register on anything else. Here is the accelerator, right? And we are, if you see back, we are just sending the JSON which we see before, execution context JSON. And now here we are parsing it, right? And this is our main logic or workflow. That is deciding that what we have to do on here. Is a JSON. I get it, I parse it, but parse it, I go to that one moment, but this is here I parse it, and there I get is this a create message, is it update message, is it a delete message, and depending on that one, right? So I can perform any functions here as well. So everything is performing in Azure, not on CRM as well, right? So we will, here is the parser of execution context as I mentioned before, the JSON. You will get the JSON here. Here you see I need a dynamic, just parsing as a dynamic data, not any serialization. So we wouldn't break. So we'll get the primary entity. It's just an account. You can have your own. You just need to change it to your own needs. This will be the same each time. Primary entity name. Here you have a validation. If it's not account, quit. The same thing can be here. You can have your integrations coming up external. You can put some fields in your entities, or some other logics can be there. But for a simple is that you can have a boolean and option set field whenever you send and integrations is coming from F4 or Salesforce or whatever. You can set that field true to here. And when this entity comes, he checks that one, he can bypass that webhook request. So because integration is the external integration taking care of everything. So here you can do a lot of logic, is depend on your requirement. So here we get the message name, because I now share better here. You get the message, right? If you see here, all the properties coming from here. Oh, very good. Might need to be message name. Yeah, here it is, update. So you will get everything there. I think I need to show you in Azure as well, but let me go with it shortly. I have 20 minutes 47. Yeah. So here is we identify everything, which message it is. If the message is create, go and take images pre and post. If it has, it will accept it. Here is update, and here is delete, and you can add as many requests you wanted, right? And then we have an input parameter. If you get the values, we have output parameter. Now I go into more detail. For example, if you have an update parameter, right? Oh, message is coming, you get the value, then you're making a decision here. If, for example, I have this field, for example, account ID lookup is not equal to this, so you mean that something is changed, I need to do something, then I will say update message is true, right? So this will use in our update, which is activity trigger, right? This is our accelerator, right? Uh, uh, and this is a durable pattern here. And then we have an HTTP client, which is basically our, I may name it here, see? This is where you register this guy, basically with your webhook. So I will probably go with the one way how to do it. Yes, we are basically in JSON parser here, right? And now we go here, let's say if it is a create message, like in our scenario, we go inside and we see that, okay, here it is. If you are doing dynamically, nothing will break. If post entry images, or just name of the message what you define in your scenario here. I think I need to show you guys first the webhook I have registered. This is the webhook, right? So if you have I come to the how we register. 1 minute, let me explain this one and then come to the session part. There's a lot of things to explain here, but this is post pre-images, right? For my scenario, you can also on create and update as well. I create on create of new account. So this is there, right? So these are the things. These are the I just made examples here. How can you get the lookup? How can you get the option set and date and time? They are straightforward, right? So these are pre post images here. And everything is mentioned here because we are dealing with accounts. So I just define my fields here. You can have your own fields here. But remember, there will be pre and post as well, depending on your message. So this pretty simple template built in. You just update uh, with your requirement, and then it is ready to go. And you can just need to update your model and just replace with your entity. But you need to know that what is lookup, what is option set, what is and these are pre-entity images there, right? So once you get your, this is what I'm talking about in first slide, that webhooks, that webhooks know is subscriber. So these are is subscribers, create subscriber, right? Count on create, account on delete, account on update. You can add as many as it is, and you can also make a delay here, right? You might need to a delay, like create orders can be at a delay here. You don't directly want it, or you want something else synchronous in the CRM, go first. And there are a lot of options. You can use it here, and a lot of multiple tasks. You can have many account trigger 1, 2, 3. Just for understanding it, definitely it will be based on your task. You can pause it and you can send it right away, all of them. And you can also use this instead of adding to parallel task, you can execute one by one. Okay, await this one, get the result, do the second one, third, and so on. Like chaining, which I explained before, or you can do the fan in fan out, which is basically right now we're doing here. This is fan out parallel task when any of the tasks completes. So it can handle simultaneously any create, update, request, and messages as well. So here is the main logic for account to create, right? This is a trigger, and we pass the model here. Pass it in accelerator, and is here we are passing the model, and the model comes here, and now we define our logic. And here we have a CRM handler, which is basically CRM connection, and this is your function. Each will have his own instance, and I will just explain something here. I make a CRM connection here. I think you follow Microsoft, but the new way of using CRM service client is basically using default settings. They recommend it, right? This is in Microsoft website as well. If you go to service API limits, you know what it is. So you will find these ways how to improve your connection. This is very important. You should always use, or if you have a library for connection, right? Or connection pooling as well, like we have it there for web API especially. So you can utilize this one there. It's really improve your performance. And the connection string we are using here, come on. Yes, so basically we are using the connection OAuth, right? But this is username password based. It's not that web API, but the connection is OAuth, basically SDK, right? But we're using SDK code here. If you see my handler here, I am also updating to CRM backer, right? So toggle out code line. So this is for example, this one, just an example. So CRM handler is handling the CRM connection. So you can have a lot of things here. This is SDK version. This is .NET version, but we also have, and I go shortly with that one. This is .NET Core, which is Web API, which I mentioned before. So here, this is more wonderful if you see here. I think this is .NET Core if you see that. I don't know why it's slow. Amazing. This is the wonderful. That's version 1, but this is version 1. That's version 3. Sorry, this is the this is again version 1. If I go, I have to drag it. Sorry, bring it here. Sorry, this is version 3 template, right? And if you see here, this is .NET Core. So serialization of everything for version 1 or .NET Core, everything is there. You have to just utilize these templates to your needs. You don't need to worry about just have introduction and then you can use this. Come on, uh, don't know. Yeah, not .NET Core, right? So shortly, see the time, and we have the dependency injections here, right? Which I mentioned. .NET Core, you can use it here. Startup class. Go shortly. I register my services. I use delegation handler, right? Where I just define, take that token there, service token using here are my token services. I service. Every pattern is there. So yeah, use Microsoft Authentication Library, which is recommended, not the old one, Identity Contain. So everything is here. I registered an application in Azure as well. I think I don't have time to go there, but I have Azure open here as well. I can show you in Active Directory. I have registered an application, right? So if you see my, I don't know why everything is taking time. Here is the client ID, authority, tenant ID, secret, scopes, URL, and everything I'm getting here on the top of it. Are they config in here and in startup? I'm making my configurations here and I'm using my own HTTP client, right? So once I create application is register, I register, take the token right away. Not each request I'm getting. This is the like wonderful patterns you can use in a .NET Core. But again, this is .NET Core. The only thing you have to do might take time, but it is worth mentioning. You have to use basically API for that one. If I may open my handler. So yeah, if I go with that one, where's the main logic there? Yeah, you will see here accounts, API URL is back there, accounts, and you have to use. You can also utilize. I will show a link here with them. I don't get much time for that one. You can use Microsoft samples for Web API. There is also using JObjects, right? I just use plainly here, but you can use JObject because you are already using the JSON Newton's on JSON here as well. So it depends, but these things is not there in that articles. Microsoft, you have delegation handlers, you have startup services here, defines fonts, and you will get a lot of and token is all each HTTP call for CRM token is automatically registered here in delegation handler. Get that token, you don't need to be define anytime. So this is more about the patterns here. So this you can utilize. Both of them are available on my. I think I shared my GitHub here. Yeah, here's my GitHub. I will also put the presentation there as well. This is Data Summit session. So this is the web resource which show the product there. Templates, these are the template version 1, version 3. These are available. You just download those, a copy to your CRM, my document folder, Visual Studio. They are built within 2019, by the way, but it works on 2017 and 19 as well. So, and you will have all these things there. Because if I now make it give you a new example, might take some time, but it's pretty straightforward. If you see, go with the nugget packages here, and now you can also publish it like I have a publisher, but you can also have your pipelines as well. CRM dynamics, if oh sorry, if we go, what's happening? Yeah, I think it's coming here. Yeah, publish. It doesn't have publish profile, but if you go to the nugget packages, these are version 1 packages. You have to install them and you need to know them which one are available. Why is not get packages? I think it's too much things open. Yeah, so everything is installed for you, and this is version 1. So the I mentioned in my slide the version basically. So everything is mentioned here. This version 1 8.6 code assembly. This is also very important. You can use up to this one because up is going for .NET Core, which is in version 3 as well. So this template is ready made for you. You can extend it to your needs as much as even possible. And the slide is there, presentation is there, so you can keep with that one if it is new to you. Probably I know the guys who use this lot, they know what is the value here. So these are the .NET base. So I have a Microsoft Identity client and there, and this is different. And the versions are different here. Durable TASI 2.5, and you can go more depending on your needs. Yes, and one more thing here for FO integrations. Yes, for FO integrations. So you see here, this is the webhook I registered there. Now let me go to that one as well. It's very important. Functions. These are the functions registered. See, HTTP, count HTTP, uh, orchestrators, and then think about this is the steps on create step, on delete step, on update steps in your these ones, guys. This one, guys. This will you are automatically getting the parsing here. So these are the steps for your uh, and this you can use 20 tasks. I mean, depending on your app service plan at the backend, but just an example, you can use multiple tasks and you're not using CRM. Yeah, if you need to CRM connect, you have your connection there. uh, I already made it here, CRM connection. Go and save back to the CRM or whatever you want to CRM. If you want to go to use blobs, Azure services, PDF, and this and that, you can do it from here, not utilizing CRM, using Azure. And when you get something from some API or want back to go to CRM and save the URL of that PDF, for example, SharePoint, use that connection and save it there. It will be there. And these all runs within milliseconds. This not takes 2 seconds. No, these run in milliseconds. As you see my demo here, I get within no times, within milliseconds there.
Thank
Right?
you, Adnan. Yes, excellent. So could you just, are you able to wrap up in the next couple of minutes, please?
Break.
Are you able to wrap up the session now in the next 2 minutes?
Yeah. Just 2
Thank
minutes.
you.
I can.
Thank you.
I'm able to wrap it. I'm wrapping it. I think it's more important. But FO, yes, I will wrap it. Sorry. Uh, for FO, I basically make a service bus endpoints, and it's worth to mention here in new session here. FO, when I will change anything, uh, the it will go longer, so we don't go to that one. Need an authenticator. So it comes, the request come from there, and we get then orders here. If I show you one orders there, basically now it is closed, but these orders are getting saved. So this is external integration through service bus, and then back to the FO, right? So the code is there up there in GitHub. You can utilize whenever you want to get an idea of that one in GitHub. Sorry. Okay. So far, so good. It will be here in webhooks. FO2CO and SDK.NET webhook. That's a real webhook which you gave a demo, right? Both of them. They are there. You can use for your purposes fully, no license, nothing. You can use it for yourself. Yes. Now we come to our slide here. Yes. So we can just wrap up here. Basically, why so far so good. We utilize the purposes. I need to see also the session. I think I got some messages here, or
Hiya. Adnan, could you just share your slide, please? Sorry.
okay.
And then we just need to wrap up this session now. Yeah. Thank you.
You getting the slide?
We can't see your slide. No, we can only see your Visual Studio screen.
Okay. This might be. That's the. It's better.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks
so much.
Thanks so much for cooperation. Yes, so far so good. We have learned about how to. I will basically focus on this one. Main slide here. Why we use webhook so far, and what is the purpose of using webhook so far. So the purpose is basically to gain some control and perform operations that are CRM based and CRM, and non-CRM based and non-CRM. And we can utilize multiple tasks based on one plugins. So it's not like we classical plugin where we can just define our logic, and the control goes back to the CRM unless it is executed. So everything is there is run, or everything get fail, and everything get crap, or you get exceptions. So but here you can control everything with webhooks, and you can go to the external integrations, internal integrations, and can control when the webhooks will run. Like if you have external integration FHost, you don't want to run that webhooks, you can have a field, for example, simple solution will be, for example, you don't want account or those to run, make an custom field there, Boolean, and set it true only from the application which is running, sending data to CE from Force. Set it true there, and in an orchestrator, you see if this flag is true in create or update, skip right away. Don't go for a next HTTP trigger. No, just skip it. So this way you can gain more functions, more. Uh, this is just one example, but there can be many other examples. But this is pretty stable, and you are segregation. You are kind of loosely coupled here, not integrating all the thing into CRM through plugins. I'm not against the plugin, but use plugin classical for just small purpose, small things, and use if you need a better logic that can be extended in future. Use webhooks for that one, or definitely service bus. The one point with the service bus, yes, we have to wrap up. Service bus is definitely there is more. You can send best practices if you see service bus 2000 messages 1 minute or seconds, I think. So but that is for that and other scenarios, but you cannot do manipulate something before you send to service bus. Per webhook you have a lot of custom logic you can manipulate before, because
Thank you again.
yeah.
Thank you, Adnan, so much for that. So, Adnan, thank you for sharing your GitHub link as well, so people can
Yeah,
get
I see.
started with this approach. So, thanks for that. Yeah, thank you for sharing your contact details there. Okay, so feel free to share any links in the chat. I think you've already done that already, so that's great,
Yeah,
Adnan. Once again, thank you for joining us today, all the way from Norway. It's been a great
yeah.
pleasure to host you today.
Yeah, thank you and so much, and if someone contact me or doesn't matter, I'm open to everything.